Thank you, Sam. We're almost down to counting the hours and not the days until the presidential election. Tonight on Capitol Connection, CBS 58's Emilee Fannon, J.R. Ross from WisPolitics.com, breaking down the presidential race and some other contests from Madison.
Welcome to our election preview as we look really ahead this entire show, JR, to Tuesday, as it's really coming down to the wire here. Of course, the polls are tight, but also it's all about the closing arguments for both candidates as they've been stumping heavily here in the battleground state. Both candidates were in the state on Wednesday, then again on Friday, both in the Milwaukee area. And, you know, I've been going to these events. The main message from Harris on these two visits specifically has been trying to target young voters. She's having these rallies/concerts, so it doesn't really feel like a typical stump speech. On the other hand, the former president really honing on the two issues that a lot of Republicans want him to keep focusing on. That's immigration and the economy. We also got the latest polling and the last polling from Marquette University Law School that, no surprise, neck-and-neck race here. Harris has a 1-point advantage over Trump within the margin of error. Looking at the U.S. Senate race, very close to. Hovde's narrowing that gap that we saw for the past few months against Senator Tammy Baldwin. She just has a few percentage points ahead of that. But back to the presidential race, we know every time they're here in the state, JR, it's purposeful of where they're going. And Madison, of course, let's start with the Harris campaign, targeting students specifically coming to Madison.
Look, the map, we talked about it. Dane County is a blue machine for Democrats. We are seeing in the early vote some good signs for Democrats. Now, it's the early vote. You know, we'll get a better picture come Monday, the final results from early voting Saturday and Sunday. But we see some low propensity voters who are turning up in Dane County. That suggests college kids. College kids tend to favor Democrats. Could be a good sign for Democrats. Trump going to Green Bay. He wants those bow counties, we call them, Brown, Outagamie, Winnebago. He wants to perform better there than in 2020. And then you get down to the Milwaukee market, Waukesha. That is going to be your keys on Tuesday. If you're a dork like I am, you watch the county clerk's returns coming in. If Trump is below 60%, and Waukesha, that's a huge red flag for him on Tuesday. Ron Johnson got about 62% when he won by 1 point statewide. If there's more erosion in Waukesha County for Donald Trump than what we saw 2020, he's in trouble.
Right, and looking at the polling too, what we want to focus on is basically to brace yourself, right? We know it's a very close race, but JR, you have really dug into looking at the past presidential elections and some midterm elections with Marquette's polling specifically and how it actually depicts what the polling says and then what actually the results are. So what are some of the takeaways looking at that?
In 16 and 20, the Marquette poll got the Democrats' number fairly closely. So Hillary Clinton was at 46% in the last poll. She got 46.5%. Joe Biden was at 48 in the last Marquette poll in 20. He got 48 and some change, 49. However, Donald Trump's number was underestimated by the poll. In 2016, look, there was the Comey letter that came out after the poll. There's the late momentum and other things. Also, we talked the quiet Trump voter. In 2020, there's also their polling errors. There's just issues with the poll. Looking at the polling now, there isn't that room to grow for Trump in a head-to-head matchup unless you look at the multiple candidate race and figure in RFK Jr. Now, he's on the ballot, not actively campaigning, wants to vote for Trump, but the last Marquette poll got 5%. He's not going to get 5% in the final poll on final results on Tuesday, most likely, people tell me. What they're watching is, where do his voters go? Are they going to move toward Trump? Are they going to stay with RFK because they're true RFK backers? Or are they going to stay home? Same with Jill Stein, Cornel West, these other third-party candidates. What's their impact going to be on that overall pie? Because you have the multiple candidate race, or look from Marquette, and it's a 2-point, but they're in the mid to upper 40s. There's your room for Trump to grow if these third-party folks go toward him, or what's going to happen. So that's what we're watching are the polls again missing the Trump ceiling in Wisconsin, and what is that ceiling?
And looking at early in-person voting, it looks encouraging for both parties regardless, looking at the numbers. Now, always, urge caution that, of course, yes, there are more people voting this presidential election than compared 4 years ago. It's hard to compare because that was, of course, during a pandemic in 2020. But there are some takeaways we want to focus on looking at these early vote numbers so far. Jared, what are some of them?
Look, both sides can say this feels good for me, this feels bad for me. So Republicans, good. Rural Wisconsin, new registrations. Those are the low propensity voters who are likely Trump backers who are coming out. For Democrats who go to Dane County and go, hey, we've got new registrations in Dane County, which means Madison, which means college kids. They feel good about that. Big picture, electorate feels more female so far as they go over the numbers. Now, there are more female voters than males in Wisconsin. That's how it is every election. But if it's a half point more female than usual or a full point or more, probably favors Democrats. The abortion issue, again, driving things what we saw in 2022, but we won't get a full picture until we get everything in from early vote and Tuesday, and then next week we'll start breaking things down and go, oh, this is what happened and why. It makes so much sense now.
All right, and let's just preview real quick some legislative races that we're closely monitoring in the Milwaukee area. First, the 8th Senate District. That's between incumbent Republican Senator Dewey Strobel and Democrat Jody Habush-Sinkin. A lot of money, and abortion is shaping up to be the key issue in this race if you're seeing the ads.
Numbers I've tracked show that Jody Habush-Sinkin is outspending her and the people backing her, outspending Strobel 4-1. It's a suburban district. This is the places where we've seen the Republican brand kind of shrink under Donald Trump. Big thing here, it's still a slight GOP lean in that district. If Strobel survives all that money, that means Trump probably stanched the bleeding in suburban areas. It would be a good night for Republicans.
All right, and real quickly, also want to highlight the 21st Assembly District, also in the Milwaukee area, between incumbent Republican Jesse Rodriguez and Democrat David Marsteller.
So look, for Republicans, in a 50-50 ball game, they're favored to hold the assembly because the maps still have a slight edge for them. Here's a seat, though, where you've got a Democratic-leaning seat at the top of the ticket. You've got a Republican incumbent who has run ahead of the top of the ticket before. To get to a more manageable caucus, because Robin Vos, the Assembly Speaker, he has his detractors in that caucus. He needs 53, 54, 55 seats out of 99 to make things work. For Republicans, this is a key seat. If they win this seat, you're talking some breathing room. If they don't win a seat like this, and there are two others on the map that are kind of similar, that makes things difficult to manage that caucus and actually get things done next session.
All right, that will do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us.